right through Papua New Guinea. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Sports Scene. Look, this week there's been a lot of rainfall here in Port Moresby. So for you viewers here in Port Moresby, I hope you've been keeping safe. Unfortunately, Lawrence won't be joining me here in studio. He needs to rest for a bit, so we'll let our dear brother rest. So tonight on the show, we have PNGRU's CEO, newly appointed CEO, Sailosi Druma, who will be highlighting some of the things to look forward to on PNGRU's calendar for this year. That's about it. Let's get on straight with the scoreline. If our operator can have it up on screen, please. So, in the men's NRL preseason trials, round 2, Raiders beating Seagulls 18 points to 16 there. In my team, the Roosters, what? I didn't catch that game, but that is not a good scoreline. 16 points to 8, Roosters losing to Tigers. Panthers nil, defeated by the Eels 36 points. Rabbitohs 10, losing to the Dragons 16 points. And the Cowboys 26 points, beating the Broncos 26 points. 2-6. 2-6, they beat the Broncos. Lawrence, if you're watching tonight, bro, just look at this scoreline. Anyway, moving on. Storms 24 points, beating the Knights by 24 points to 10. Sharks 30 points to Bulldogs 6. In the women's NRL, round 1, Dragons beat the Titans 20 points to 12. Roosters, what? My team lost again there. What? They lost to the Broncos. 20 points to 4. That was the score the Broncos won by. Anyway, the Knights losing to the Eels just by 1 point. 12 points to 13 there. So that's the roundup for this week. I'm not so happy because both teams, my teams, the men's and women's teams, the Roosters lost. So that's, anyway, we'll improve. We'll improve. That's about it. We'll go for a break now. Sports In continues right after these short messages.
Welcome back to Sports Scene. Now, 2021 was quite a challenging year for many sporting bodies right throughout the country. Most sports competitions were called off due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Talking about the COVID-19 challenges, joining us tonight on the show is the Papua New Guinea Rugby Union Chief Executive Officer Sailosi Druma, who will give us an update on the 2022 calendar of events for the PNGRU.
Our calendar this year is really chock-a-block. We have the full 12 months with different events, starting with the bigger one, which is happening next month, the Super 7 series. They'll go for 7 weeks, and that'll include the 16 provincial teams, all converge here in Port Moresby, and they will have a 7th tournament. So basically is to try and get everybody involved. Initially, the idea was to spread the games around the country, but because of the restrictions in terms of flights, logistics, it's going to be a challenge for us. So this year, we want to host everybody here in Port Moresby. Followed by that will be our training and education program, which constitute delivering World Rugby courses to upskill our coaches, new coaches and referees, and also our medical teams, plus strength and conditioning.
In May, PNGRU will host some international fixtures. Plans are currently underway to invite third-tier nations to play against PNG. CEO Druma says this is vital for international exposure.
We've initiated some discussions with our friends in the Pacific, like Niue and Cook Islands, Tahiti, Vanuatu and Solomon Islands, to try, have a separate competition. We normally have once a year, which is called the Oceania Men's Championship, but we think that we should have more, and that's what PNG's initiated a discussion with them. So we want to have those fixtures in May. Followed by that, we have different sevens and 15s national championship, which will happen mid-year around July. They'll prepare us to get our team assembled for the big one, which we're going to host in October. Is the men's 15s championship, Oceania, and then also in November, for the first time, PNG is hosting the Oceania Sevens, which will see countries like Fiji, Australia, New Zealand, Samoa, who are regular in the World Sevens Series, also participate in the Oceania Men's Sevens, which will happen here in November. So we're very, lucky this year of the vision of the new board to move us to this new facility at Hubert Murray Stadium, which is now the home of rugby. That will allow us to also host some of these big events. And we want to expose a lot of our young talents and also give a better preparation for our national teams using this facility to try and compete better when they attempt, Oceania qualifiers. And that's bringing to mind the first qualifiers for us for the World Cup Sevens, and the Commonwealth game is happening on the 2nd and 3rd of April in Brisbane or Townsville. So we're waiting for confirmation from Oceania Rugby which venue we will use. So that's the big one for us immediately, our men and women sevens team. So they're preparing for the World Cup qualifier. The World Cup this year is going to happen in South Africa, and also the Commonwealth game, which is happening in Birmingham in England. So 2 big events for us to prepare for, which is happening in April.
He's dropped it, and here they come again. Oh, Rover is over.
Despite not having competitions last year, a national 7 squad was announced for both men and women. PNGRU clarified that off-season tournaments were used as avenues to select the PNG Pukpuks and Palais team. They are currently preparing for some international tours. This includes qualifying for the upcoming Birmingham Commonwealth Games.
As you mentioned, we've announced our squad. Right now they're in camp. We didn't have any, big PNGRU events last year, but there were a few satellite sevens that were privately run. One was the Greater Pacific Sevens in Newark. There was the Sevens in East New Britain. And then you had the Sports Talk Sevens and also the Rookie Sevens last year. So the selectors used those 4 tournaments to, identify some new talents. But majority of our players came from our experienced players that were picked in 2019 and 2020. So some of those players were retained, and a few new players were selected from those 4 tournaments that I mentioned. So hopefully, by 2 weeks' time, they will finalize the traveling squad. Hopefully we would have prepared better this time. So our aim is to qualify for the World Cup. We did qualify for the World Cup in 2018. That was held in San Francisco, both our men and women. The format this year is a bit of a challenge because there's only 1 sport available, so it's going to be a tussle between us and some of the Tier 3 countries. For the Commonwealth game, there's also 1 sport, but it's going to be between Fiji and us as well. So, we really want to prepare better for these tours because we want to qualify. Like I said, we qualify for the 2018 World Cup. We also qualify for the Commonwealth game, which was held in 2018 in Brisbane. So that's our immediate preparation happening at the moment. So in 2 weeks' time, we'll reduce the number to 12. They'll be the traveling squad. But the coaches wanted to finalize a 15-member so that, if any changes last minute because of either whether it's injury or COVID situation, then we have, 3 players that are available that we can select from. So we will finalize our 15. That will be our final squad, but 12 will play.
Yep, there you go. That was the CEO of the PNGRU, Sailosi Druma, who gave an insight of the 2022 calendar of events for the Papua New Guinea Rugby Union. We will take a short break and come back with more on Sports Scene. All right, welcome back to Sports Scene. Now it is time to talk Rugby League, and here with me is the tournament director for the Central Dabaris Agarobe Nines, Indy Verna. Indy, thanks for joining us on the show.
Thank you, Suli.
All right, just tell us a little bit about the tournament itself, the Agarobe Nines tournament.
Now the Agarobe Nines started on Monday. Monday we went through to 2 days of our tournament with the playoffs, and then we had to delay games on Tuesday due to the bad weather, and then we decided to put it forward to today. Okay, so right now today, as you can see, is the finals playoffs. We actually completed the cup playoffs on Tuesday, and we are now into day 3, which is the ball playoffs. So we hopefully things end on a successful note this afternoon.
At the moment, how many teams are participating and how many divisions have been set for the tournament for this year?
Right now there are 24 teams that are in the finals. Okay, so what actually happened is from the top 1 to 16 they play for the cup and play playoffs, and from 17 to 24 they play for the bowl playoffs. Now the winners in the cup playoffs advance to play for cup. The losers from the cup and play playoff come and relegate to come and play for the play division. And for the bowls, losers bow out, winners advance into the bowl playoffs. So that's how it's looking for today.
I understand that we have included schoolboys and women's division in this year's tournament. What do you think of the participation in the tournament?
It was a very good and a positive outcome of participation of the school teams and also women teams. Women teams, unfortunately, we only had 2 teams. So because we wanted to really expose women in this type of programs, we decided to bring a women program on board, and eventually we ended up with Poita sisters coming out victors for the last two days, and they picked up so they became the winners. For the school division, we're going to grand final today, so we have Choks Secondary and the Queer Young Guns in the grand finals today.
Looking at the talent, what do you think of the talent from the rural areas?
Yes, there's a lot of talent been displayed during the last 2 days. Our coaches and our technical officials are going to have a good pool of players to be selected. But this Dabaris and the development team we have in place, these are elite level programs, and they will have to go through some process for those talents that are going to be scouted. So it's going to be pretty exciting. Yeah.
Anything that's quite different from last year's tournament? Any improvements in this year's the games?
Yes, our initial program was to have our satellite games in each of the zones, but unfortunately due to the COVID situation, we had to bring back all the games to Port Moresby, meaning we had to centralize all the games in one venue. So the positive outlook of it is that we've got participation all the way from Amazon Bay finishing off at Goilaland. That's the positive outcome of this tournament that we've seen for the last 2 days.
With the participation of the Central Provincial Government in terms of sponsoring the game as well as other sponsors such as the Scale Rise, would you want to say anything on that?
Yes, I'd really like to take this time to acknowledge our good partners, Field International through the brand Scale Rise, and our good governor Robert Agarobe for the continuous support. Our good governor has really invested in the code in the province, and it has been a success for the last 2 years. And for Scale Rise, we really appreciate their support because it has eventually led to them contributing to the prize monies and also a bit of food rations for the participation teams.
All right, there you go. That was Indy Verna, the tournament director for the Central Province Agarobe Nines. We'll take a short time out and come back and wrap things up.
Welcome back. You're watching Sports in last segment here on the show. So we'll get on straight with the weekend preview. Now, the game that was cancelled last week, the Queensland Trials match, actually, it's the Melanesian Bowl. That match was cancelled last week, and they're playing it this week. That's between the PNG Hunters and Fiji Kaiviti. So that's happening this week, and something to look forward to. And we have round 2 of women's NRL. We have Knights taking on Broncos. Roosters will win this time against the Titans, of course, and Dragons versus the Eels. All right, that's about it. Before we go, contact details. Please, if you have any story tip and you would like to send them in, reach out to us. The number to call is 312-9229 or email us at sports@emtv.com.pg, or you can message our Facebook page and leave your story tip and at least an email address or a phone number, and we will get right back to you. I will leave it now. The season is not as great at this time as it was last year. COVID-19 is still out there. Please keep safe. We will see you same time, same place next week. Bye for now.